Irma is now the strongest hurricane to ever plow into the Leeward Islands.
Hurricane Irma is barreling towards the Caribbean with winds reaching 180 miles per hour.
It's a Category 5 storm. There's no hurricane warning.
So what we're looking at is just all the damage above.
The Leeward Islands of the Caribbean are now being battered by
right now seems to have completely lost contact with us.
This unverified video apparently showing winds of more than 180 miles per hour.
On September 6, 2017, the Virgin Islands was left devastated by a direct hit from a Category 5 hurricane. From diminished resources to a destroyed power grid, for 6 months, a dark shadow was cast over the territory's recovery efforts. Yet, a new dawn was rising. On the 6th anniversary of Hurricane Irma, we reflect on the road to recovery.
There is no power in the walls. The noisy nights rattle on. So I fill my cup with as much ice as it can carry and flood it with as much drink as it will hold. Every morning I walk past a fallen tree, its broken boughs wet and flowering purple. This is a different kind of broken now. I've begun to learn that devastated does not mean dead, that ruin can be resplendent, that what has been emptied can be filled.
Diving out through my window with my wife in order to save our life. As the waves come and wash me off our porch, where you sit, where I sit, it all was washed away. House been 90% wrecked, porch been gone. Waves came over those buildings, Sebastian Hotel, those 2-story buildings on the beach. Waves topped them. Everyone had nothing and everyone had everyone. Everyone had to depend on everyone with the little that they have.
The storms of 2017 were very impactful on everyone, not only schools and students, but everyone in the community in the BVI. Specifically, the school that we were in, which was located down near the water in the ocean in the chateau, was completely devastated and destroyed. We lost probably 75% of our materials. The one thing we managed to preserve were the books, because going into the storm, we knew that this was going to be bad. We knew our location and we knew it would be trouble. So when the team met, we said, if we lose everything, what is the one thing we really need to keep the school going? And the answer was books.
Hurricane Irma is steadily moving west and is thought to have damaged several of the islands it's passed over so far.
If you think about it, the hurricane season exists in the months of the year that it does because those are the warmer months of the year, right? And the peak of the season happens in September into October because those are the warmest months. So it all goes back to that basic connection. And we know that climate change is influencing the hurricane season because climate change, by definition, is the increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, carbon dioxide being a very important one of those. And greenhouse gases, trap heat. And they trap heat in the atmosphere, which in turn, because heat transfers, causes the ocean to warm up. So sea surface temperatures get warmer. Again, we have faster evaporation of seawater, and that has the potential then to fuel stronger hurricanes. We see more active hurricane seasons. We are seeing a propensity for stronger hurricanes. So major hurricanes becoming more likely. That's Category 3, Category 4, Category 5 hurricanes. And in addition to stronger hurricanes, we're also seeing other important shifts in the characteristics of our experience with hurricanes. So for example, we're seeing what we call rapid intensification becoming more of a trend, as well as the propensity for hurricanes to stall. And I think our Caribbean region is a perfect case study for all of this, because in just the period of 2017 and to 2019, we saw very vivid examples of all three of these trends happening, which are not just one-off instances, but unfortunately, rarely a forewarning of what we can expect into the future. In the case of Irma, I can point to at least one interesting study that I know of, led by Professor Kerry Emanuel and his team at MIT. And Professor Emanuel I met in the process of writing the Irma Diaries. He studies hurricanes, he's an atmospheric scientist, and they did an interesting study where they were able to demonstrate that the probabilities or the likelihood of experiencing a hurricane like Irma has increased dramatically just in the course of my own lifetime, using that as a measuring stick. So in 1990, when I was about 4 years old, the likelihood of experiencing a hurricane like Irma in our vicinity was just 1 in 800. So that meant if you rolled the dice 800 times, just one of those times you would get a Hurricane Irma. Whereas by the time we experienced Hurricane Irma in 2017, that likelihood had increased significantly to 1 in 180. Now I only had to roll a dice 180 times and I would get a Hurricane Irma. And by the time I'm hopefully a very old lady, in 2090, that likelihood will increase even more dramatically to just 1 in 60. So I have to roll a dice now just 60 times and I would get a Hurricane Irma.
Higher up, a satellite captures the seething, churning power of this, one of the biggest Atlantic storms on record. And from the International Space Station, a sense of how big an area the storm clouds cover.